So when I was younger, I used to listen to a lot of drum and bass, and I think possibly, I think the music, drum and bass and metal have got a lot in common. Same kind of BPMs at times, the key changes are very similar, and quite dark sounding. The old school drum and bass of the 90s, I think, is very similar. I think this is why Prodigy used to do so well, and still do, at metal festivals, because the music's quite closely related. I've always thought of metal as the same thing as drum and bass. It's that tension release, where you have the build-up of music, and you're building up, and you wait for the crescendo, and then you have that release, you know, kind of like when you're playing double times on drums, and then you go to the half time for the chorus. It's that tension and release that I think you get in a lot of music. Drum and bass with the drops and everything that they do, I think is quite similar. So I think a big change in the late 90s is when bands like At the Gates and those kind of guys came around, and that heavy style of vocals sort of become more mainstream. And before that, in the early 90s, it was more that, like the guys like Machine Head and Pantera, where it was like a crossover of kind of clean singing, dirty singing. And then in the late 90s, it will change, that Gothenburg sound sort of come around, that I call it. You know, that At the Gates, the Arch Enemy sort of appearing, the Children of Bodom. And I think that's where it shifted a little bit to now, and distorted vocals became more acceptable. For me personally, like a watershed moment was when I used to love Metallica, and my mate showed me some Pantera. I was like, this is really cool. And then they brought Great Southern Trendkill out, and I listened to the vocals, it's like, it's a bit heavy. But then once you get the ear for it or the taste for it, I was like, okay. It's like whiskey. When you first try whiskey, you don't like it, but then you start loving it. And that, a Great Southern Trendkill might be like a watershed moment, I would say. That really heavy style, you know. I grew up in London, inner city London, so it was a lot of drum and bass and jungle back in the day. And then I remember first hearing Metallica and bands like that, and I thought, hang on, there's something similar to this. And I still get the same response. As a guitarist, I still get response when I hear a really good solo or a really good piece of music. Yeah, from now, even now, I think I get the same response. You know, the hairs on the, when your hairs stand up, you know it's something's going on. I don't think you can ever beat a really groovy, you know, when it can be speed, but then as long as it releases and you get that groove factor. I think all the really successful heavy bands have always got that groove factor in them. You take Bloodbath. Bloodbath are an amazing death metal band. They've got that tension and release going about them all the time, and then they all, especially in like Resurrection Through Carnage, they would have that groove riff that hit you out of nowhere. And I think that's what everyone would hook into.